So tell me, what is an allium?
Alliums is a family that garlic and onions and shallots and also chives and garlic chives and other of the things that have that onion flavor in them. And you can distinguish them by the type of flowers that they have. But the ones that are most known for culinary use are your garlics, your onions, and your shallots. They are definitely best to plant in the fall unless you live way up north, like in zone 3 or something. And even there, they'll try planting them, but they have problems with the bulbs, with the cloves heaving out of the ground during the winter. But we don't have that problem.
You've done a lot with alliums. Why are you so fascinated by them?
Well, I just like them because, one, you plant them at a time of the year when the weather is nice. They go through the winter growing when you have limited other items that'll grow unless they're covered with a greenhouse or a coal frame or something like that. And I love the flavor. I mean, using garlic, it's like something we cook with almost every day.
Why do you think it's a good plant to have? Like, I mean, it's had a very long medical history.
Yeah, you can use it for kind of, as they say, home food as medicine a lot. It stores reasonably well most places in the U.S. Like here, the softneck garlics, which are the ones that have a little middle part that in times gone past would be what would make a seed pod, but garlics have been around so long that they don't actually make seeds in general. They just make a escape in a flower and never, unless they are put in extreme circumstances, make true seeds. That's why many of the varieties of garlic and shallots shallots aren't it so bad that way, of the garlics that you have are heirlooms and have been around for a really long time.
So in terms of seed saving, you can't save like one of these grows out and I save it for the next year. It's going to dry out.
Well, you bring it, you plant it in September or October in this area, and they're going to be harvested from the first week in May to the end of June. But you have to pay attention to them to know, like when about a third of the leaves have dried up, it's probably ready to go. But you test one bulb up to make sure that it's nice and filled up before you dig the rest of them. Anyway, so you plant them in September. They grow through the winter. You need to weed them, but not that much because the weeds aren't growing that well at December and January.
Right.
And if you have prepared your bed well and mulched it nicely, you don't have to give it too much attention until it starts getting dry and needing to be irrigated in the late to middle spring.
And does this matter if it's hardneck or softneck?
It doesn't matter so much. They both are planted at about the same time. Most people plant them in the exact same time. Some people plant their softnecks and then a week or so later plant their hardnecks. I think there's people who kind of grew up north where the hardnecks were a little planted just before the frost.
Do a little better. All right, so let's take a step back too. What is hardneck? What is softneck?
So the hardnecks do better where it's cool, but people in the mid-Atlantic grow it because it will grow and it makes the bigger individual cloves less of them, they might make anywhere from 4 to 8 cloves, and they can be big, fat ones, and they have a good flavor, both raw and roasted. So, people like it, and it makes little scapes. The soft neck has 2 rows of cloves, one in the middle of slightly smaller ones, and then one on the outside. They're in general a little smaller than the hard necks, but they get a decent size. And what they do have going for them in particular is if you keep them at a cool temperature, they will store until the next spring if you haven't used them all, because you couldn't wait. One of the things that people use them differently for is they make garlic braids with that dried foliage from the soft neck. The ones that are in grocery store are mostly soft necks, artichoke type soft necks. And they're more bland. That's another reason for growing in their little varieties. You can get many more that have a spicy flavor to them, especially when they aren't cooked that long. The thing that's nice about when you're growing it for yourself is you can get several kinds and plant one, like we did in this bed, plant 1 to 3 or 4 different varieties. Some people get carried away with themselves and have 7 or 8 different varieties. I like Antillium Red because it has both good flavor and good storage capacity. Chestnut Red is nice because it just looks good on the shelf. It's real pretty. See? Yeah. If you're in a hurry, music is good because it has big bulbs and not that many of them, so you can peel it really quick. There is one that I kind of like, but it has its issues. That's a silver rose. It takes a long time to mature, so it doesn't get as big here because it gets hot when it's trying to bulb. But it stores way long. So if you have a little bit of that, it can carry you through into, the next April and May. Our friend Pam Dolling says the middle of the soft necks, you can plant it as one thing, and they'll come up, and you have garlic scallions. So you have something a little bit like a scape, but more flat. And people at farmers market like it because it's early, and they can get a good premium price for the garlic scallions. So you have more of the screen stuff to sell than just the one scape in the middle.
In your humble opinion, what's better, hardneck or softneck?
If I only could grow one, I might grow a softneck because it stores longer. But I think having a little of both kinds is the sweet spot.
What's proper storage for garlic? How do you know when it's ready to harvest, and what's proper storage?
Okay. Usually, you can tell that they're ready a few things. When they have made the scapes, then about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks afterwards, is when the hardnecks start to be ready. Other things that indicate that they're ready is that part of the bottom third of the leaves have started to turn yellow or brown. But you don't want to wait until more than half of them are dry, because underneath that wrapper layer is beginning to rot by the time they get brown. And you want to have several wrapper layers that are going to air dry and be like this, making a nice protective covering on your garlic. All of these things that have to do with drying, and you need to get them to dry quickly. So having a place where there's just good natural air circulation is good. Making sure that you harvest them before, when there's 30 to 40% of the leaves are yellow, is another. The reason you want to try one, lift it up with your digging fork, rather than pull them, because you pull them, it kind of breaks the wrapper layer. Whereas if you loosen the soil before you pull them up, then you have a better wrapper layer.
Yeah, and you need that to kind of keep it insulated.
Keep it insulated. And, we usually run fans when we're drying. Well, hardnecks, we tell people usually they're going to be, you should make them into something by January or so. And the softnecks are more likely to be good in March and April. And if you have good, excellent storage conditions, they can go on into May. So you can hit your silver skin garlic might still be good when you start to harvest, say, Asiatics, which we don't offer that much because they don't store that long, but they get ready 3 or 4 weeks earlier than the other garlic.
Does it have partner plants? Do alliums in general or gar have good partner plants?
They don't share that well because they don't like weeds and they don't like bossy plants. But sometimes people will grow them in a bed like this, and they might have half of the bed as garlic, and then they might have onions, or they might leave it just mulch and start some early dill or something like that. That's not a big competitor. And there are people who I know who have container gardens that plant garlic around the edge, especially if you're okay with not having big bulbs and you're going for your scapes and your greens as well. That's okay. But you can't, when you have most things with it, you can't really get big bulbs.
And then how different are the rules for onions from garlic?
Well, they're different onions. They're fall-planted perennial onions and shallots. And they are a little bit like garlic, except they're ready early. Instead of at the end of May, they're likely ready toward the beginning or middle of May. But it's the same. They grow in a clump, and so you take those individual shallots or perennial onions and plant them. But they aren't, in a bulb like this. They're in a clump.
What life lessons do we get from garlic?
Well, one thing is timing is everything. In terms of garlic, if you prepare the soil well and plant them at the right time, you can get twice as much garlic out of a space than if you plant them too early or too late. And if you haven't really prepared and added some organic matter. So having a little small area at the end of your raised bed that you give extra compost or shredded leaf mulch. Some people will save the clippings from mowing their yard over the summer and make kind of just a brown compost that has a lot more grass and leaves in it to give the organic matter to their garlic. And if you only have an area that's 2 feet by 4 feet, you can be extravagant with your amendments.
What should people mark their calendars for in the year?
Well, I think of the middle of September through the beginning of November is when you should plant your garlic. You might want to order it in the spring. You don't want to plant them much before the middle of September. Because sometimes you have a long dry spell, and if you plant them early, you have longer that you have to weed them too, because if you plant them in the middle of October in a well-prepared bed, there isn't so much weed competition at that time of year. Mulch them so that it'll both hold moisture and at the same time keep big hard rains from digging little channels in your bed, and moderate rapid temperature changes, which sometimes happen in the winter. But they're likely, if you get them in by the middle of October, to pop up and have green leaves in the fall and through the winter. But if you plant them too early, if you get a sudden temperature drop, the new leaves don't like it so much, and it makes for smaller garlic.
Like, how do you use your garlic?
Well, I use it more in savory things, but people have definitely fermented it, but we're more likely to put garlic cloves in with dill pickles, fermented dill pickles, so you have both of them. And we dehydrate garlic because that's just really quick and easy. If you're gonna make like a pasta sauce and you're gonna let it cook for a while, then you don't have to take the time to peel and clean up the garlic at that time. You can have done it in the evening back in the summer.
I want to ask you about your affinity. Like, when did you first grow garlic, or like when did you fall in love with it or something? Or
I grew up in Florida, and it's hard to grow garlic there. You don't have enough cold temperature for it. So I moved to North Carolina, and I grew some garlic, and it got big, and I was in love.
When you prepare garlic, and when you're looking at a bulb and you got to use the whole thing, like, how do you prep garlic?
And pretty much we try to use the whole thing. We sometimes we take it and put the garlic cloves in a mason jar half full and shake it up and then peel it, and then it is easier to peel and you don't necessarily have to use a knife. I think that it's one of those things that you get a lot of flavor and dollar return on a small space. So taking a small space and working up how to get a good return is worth their trouble. You don't have to have a huge area.